Look at the solar system. It is a collection of graves. Mercury is a scorched rock. Mars is a frozen desert. Venus is a suffocating hellscape. If you were to pick a random point in the universe, the probability that you would find yourself in a vacuum is 9.99%. The rest is mostly inside the nuclear furnaces of stars. The default state of matter in our cosmos is dead. To be alive is to be a statistical error. We are a microscopic contamination on a single rock floating in an infinite ocean of sterility. The universe is not designed for us. It is indifferent to us. And yet, we are here. But our existence is more than just rare. It is a violation of the law. In episode 1, we learned about entropy. The second law of thermodynamics states that the universe always moves from order to disorder. Energy dissipates, structures crumble, the arrow of time points toward chaos. But life points the other way. A living cell takes chaotic atoms and organizes them into complex machinery. We take random energy from the sun and build skyscraper symphonies and babies. Life is a localized rebellion against the laws of physics. We are fighting a war against entropy every second we breathe. We are stealing order from the chaos. So what exactly spites off the spark? What is the difference between a rock and a rabbit? It is harder to define than you think. Look at fire. It consumes energy. It grows. It reproduces by spreading sparks. It responds to its environment. But fire is not alive. It is just chemistry. To be truly alive, science generally agrees on a holy trinity of traits. First, metabolism. You must process energy to maintain your structure. Second, reproduction. You must contain instructions to copy yourself. Third, and most importantly, evolution. You must be able to change those instructions over time. Fire burns out. Life learns. If you want to bake a universe, the pantry is surprisingly empty. Biology is not made of rare materials. It is made of the leftovers. 99% of your body is built from just 6 elements: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. We call them eknops. These elements were forged in the dying hearts of stars billions of years ago. When those stars exploded, they scattered this dust across the cosmos. You are not just metaphorically stardust. You are nuclear waste that has learned to stand up. But of all these ingredients, one is the king: carbon. Why is life based on carbon? Why not iron? Why not helium? Because carbon is the ultimate Lego brick. Most atoms are antisocial. They don't like to bond with others. But carbon is promiscuous. It has 4 valence electrons, meaning it can bond with up to 4 other atoms at the same time. It can form long chains. It can form rings. It can form spirals. Silicon is similar, but its bonds are too stiff. It makes rocks, not cells. Carbon provides the flexibility required for the chaos of life. It is the backbone of the biological machine. You have the bricks carbon, but you need a place to build. You need a dance floor. This is the role of water. Chemistry is just atoms bumping into each other. In a solid, atoms are locked in prison. They cannot move. In a gas, they are moving too fast to shake hands. But a liquid is the Goldilocks zone. Water is the universal solvent. It allows molecules to float, mix, and interact without flying away. Every cell in your body is essentially a tiny bag of seawater where chemical reactions are happening millions of times a second. Without the water, the dance stops. We have the ingredients: carbon, water, energy. But where did the mixing happen? Charles Darwin, in a private letter written in 1871, offered a guess. He imagined that life began in a warm little pond, a shallow pool heated by the sun filled with ammonia and phosphoric salts. He believed that with enough time, light, and electricity, The chemicals would naturally bond into something complex. It was a gentle, romantic idea. Life began in a spa. In 1952, two chemists named Stanley Miller and Harold Urey decided to test this. They built a miniature Earth in a glass flask. They filled it with water, and the gases they thought were in the ancient atmosphere. Then they hit it with simulated lightning. They let it run for a week. When they came back, the water had turned a muddy brown. They analyzed the sludge and found something incredible. Amino acids. These are the building blocks of proteins, the building blocks of you. They prove that you don't need magic to create the parts of life. You just need chemistry and lightning. But there was a problem. Miller and Urey created amino acids. They created the bricks. But a pile of bricks is not a house. We have never seen amino acids spontaneously assemble themselves into a living cell in a lab. We can make the parts, but we cannot make the machine. The jump from complex chemistry to living organism is a gap we still haven't crossed. There was another problem with Darwin's pond, the timing. We know now that the early Earth was not a quiet place. It was the Hadean Eon. Hell on Earth. The planet was being bombarded by heavy asteroids. The surface was a magma ocean. There was no ozone layer to block the sun's deadly radiation. A warm little pond on the surface would have been sterilized instantly. UV radiation would break any chemical bonds before they could form. Life could not start on the surface. It needed a bunker. In the 1970s, we found the bunker. Deep at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, we discovered hydrothermal vents, specifically white smokers. These are rock chimneys created by the heat of the Earth's core. They pump out hot alkaline fluids rich in hydrogen. Crucially, the rocks are full of tiny microscopic pores, little stone pockets. These pockets provided protection from the ocean and the radiation above. They concentrated the chemicals. They provided the heat. Life didn't begin in a sunlit pond. It began in the dark, high-pressure womb of the deep sea. Deep in the vents, chemistry was happening. But we hit a paradox. Modern life runs on a cycle. DNA contains the instructions to build proteins, but proteins are the tools required to read the DNA. The blueprint cannot be read without the tool, but the tool cannot be built without the blueprint. It is the ultimate chicken and egg problem. How did life start? If you need both parts to exist simultaneously, the answer lies in a cousin of DNA, RNA. Today, RNA is just a messenger. It carries notes from the DNA to the factory. But billions of years ago, we believe RNA was the boss. This is the RNA World Hypothesis. RNA is unique. It can store information like a hard drive, just like DNA. But unlike DNA, it can fold up into 3D shapes and act like a tool. It is a Swiss Army knife. It is both the blueprint and the carpenter. Life started when a strand of RNA learned to copy itself without help. But a self-copying molecule is vulnerable. If it floats away, it dies. It needs a house. It needs a polygon membrane. Luckily, nature provides this for free. Fatty acids, simple lipids naturally form spheres when you put them in water. Think of oil droplets in a salad dressing. The moment a strand of RNA got trapped inside a fatty bubble, a revolution happened. Suddenly, the universe was divided into two parts: inside and outside. Me and the world. The first cell was born. For millions of years, these bubbles fought a war. Most failed. They popped. They starved. But one was different. About 4 billion years ago, a single cell perfected the machinery of life. It survived. It ate. It conquered. We call it Luca, the last universal common ancestor. Every living thing on Earth, the bacteria in your gut, the oak tree in the park, the eagle, the mushroom, and you, We are all direct descendants of that one single survivor. We are just different variations of the same bubble. But there is one final possibility we cannot ignore. What if the spark didn't happen here? This is the theory of panspermia. We know that Mars was wet and warm long before Earth was, and we know that rocks from Mars are blasted into space and land here as meteorites. We have found amino acids, the building blocks of life on asteroids like Ryugu. It is possible that life evolved on Mars, first hitchhiked on a rock, and crashed into our oceans. If this is true, we are all Martians. Whether it started here or there, one terrifying fact remains. It seems to be incredibly difficult. This brings us back to the Great Filter. The universe has been around for 13.8 billion years. There are trillions of planets, but as far as we can see, the lights are off everywhere else. This suggests that the spark is rare. Maybe the transition from dead chemistry to living biology is a 1 in a trillion lottery win. If so, we are the winners. The lonely winners. The hardest part of this science is our ignorance. We have a sample size of 1. All life on Earth uses the same DNA code, the same proteins. We don't know if life has to look like this, or if we are just one bizarre flavor. Could there be silicon life, methane life, shadow life? Until we find a second example, a second Genesis, we are guessing in the dark. We are studying a forest by looking at a single leaf. This is why we must go to Enceladus. This is why we must go to Europa. These moons have oceans trapped beneath their ice. If we send a probe there and find a single microbe, just one, it changes everything. It would prove that life is not a miracle. It is a factory setting. It would mean the universe is teeming. But for now, as far as we know, we are it. And that gives us a responsibility. We are made of atoms that were forged in stars. We are the mechanism by which the universe understands itself. Through our eyes, the cosmos can finally see its own beauty. The universe spent billions of years in the dark. Then it lit a spark. That spark is you. Don't let it go out.